Alrighty, guys, one of the MCU shows coming out next year, Daredevil Born Again Season 2. We haven't heard a whole lot about it. There was a time when we seemed to be getting set photo leaks and the like for every day, pretty much, for a couple weeks. But then we've gone pretty much radio silent, and we haven't heard all too much about Daredevil Born Again Season 2 in quite a while, which is fine. I think that it's great if the surprise is kept for a good while, considering that this show is probably not going to come out for at least, I would say at least 6, 7, 8 more months into 2026. But that's all good. And like I've been saying before, Daredevil Born Again Season 1, to me, was a very conflicted show, literally, because it was chopped up and reshot and redone, rewritten, and kept some of the original parts of the show, the original DNA of the show that was originally pitched to Marvel, that was then scrapped and then rewritten and brought in new writers. And so it's a Frankenstein's monster, so to speak, but it still had really good elements, and it continued on with some of the great parts of the original Daredevil run. And that's why I have such hope and faith in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And so, officially today, Darius Scartapane, who is the showrunner was the new showrunner for Daredevil Born Again Season 1 and is the showrunner for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, announced that the season had wrapped filming. Interestingly, because that's not necessarily news in itself, it's a good thing, right? It's, hopefully that this production is much smoother than the production for Season 1, and even if they go back for reshoots, that they're not going to reshoot the entire show and all that kind of stuff, hopefully that, they have a really good sense of the story. And that's all well and good. One of the interesting things, though, that he did was, by name, explicitly thank a lot of the cast and the crew. And I say a lot because there are a couple notable omissions that I think are interesting. So the direct here has compiled 6 names that they think should have or will appear in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 that were not listed in the cast announcement. Now, it makes sense why almost all of these people, these actors, were not mentioned, although a couple of them, maybe it would have made more sense if they were. So let's run through these names that the direct has on here, and I'll give you my thoughts on whether or not I think they are probably in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And the direct mentions as well, these are not all characters that they think will absolutely appear in the show, but rather some characters that we have received either implicit confirmation or explicit confirmation about, or characters that seem likely to show up. And I think they've gone from most likely to least likely, in my opinion. So starting at number 1, one of the actors that was not mentioned by name, Jon Bernthal. And I think we've gotten some kind of implicit confirmation that Punisher is going to show up in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And I don't think that this has anything to do with Spider-Man Brand New Day, frankly, because that whole announcement and that whole deal was probably made while Daredevil Born Again was being filmed. Season 2 was being filmed, or at least in pretty deep in production. So I think they knew, regardless of Spider-Man Brand New Day, whether or not Punisher was going to show up. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting, side note, to see whether or not Spider-Man Brand New Day really acknowledges what happens in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 with Punisher in his own special presentation. That'll be super interesting. But Jon Bernthal's name was omitted. Does that mean that he has a much smaller role? I don't know what happens at the end of the special presentation. Maybe he's not in the show. I think there is a chance that he's not in the show because he's being set up for Spider-Man Brand New Day. We will see. Number 2 is Foggy, and this is another character, Eldon Henson, obviously, because, spoiler alert, Foggy died in the first episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. But the showrunner, I believe, said that he confirmed a while ago, we did a whole segment about this, that Eldon Henson would be returning as Foggy in Season 2, which is, in all likelihood, is flashbacks, and that makes a lot of sense. I would very much like to see flashbacks between him and Matt. They did a lot of that in Daredevil Season 1, I believe, so I would be very down for that. I think it makes sense that you wouldn't include his name, because then people would just be like, what? What's going on? So I think the rest of these names, honestly, are people's names that I wouldn't have expected to see in that Instagram post. But Jon Bernthal is an interesting one. Number 3, Luke Cage. Mike Coulter has been posting some things and hinting at Luke Cage, so we'll see. I would give Luke Cage maybe a 50-50 shot at this point. Before they announced Kristen Ritter was coming back, I would have given her maybe a 60-70% shot. Luke Cage, maybe 50%. So I don't think it's unlikely, but we'll see. We'll have to see about that. Iron Fist is in a similar vein, but obviously because, unfortunately people didn't like Finn Jones's performances as Danny Rand, that, I think it's a little less likely, and there hasn't been a whole lot of chatter about that. So it would be kind of unfortunate, though, if 3 of the 4 defenders showed up and Iron Fist didn't, but we'll just have to see how that goes. And the next one, Echo. I think Echo actually has a pretty decent shot of showing up here. I don't know why they would have announced that, though, at this point, so I think it makes sense. And the final one, I don't quite understand. Elektra, played by Elodie Young. I don't think she's going to show up. I think the character is dead. We'll see. Maybe they want to reintroduce her in the MCU somehow and they'll bring her back because she is the canon version of Elektra in the MCU Sacred Timeline because the Netflix show is now canon. So we'll see. But I think that, again, just what I wanted to highlight here, filming is done. Hopefully they'll have a very smooth post-production. We'll get a great season of television. And some of these characters that we just talked about, I have a feeling that it's not going to be zero. It's not going to be none of them that show up in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I think we definitely will see 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 out of these 6 characters. So guys, what do you think about the news that Daredevil Born Again has wrapped filming? Let me know in the comments down below.